Security and permissions are another big part of the Android OS. One important concept here is that each application is going to run its own process, and it's also going to have its own Linux user ID. This is really important because it provides a very high level of security, since applications can't interact with each other except via intents or content providers. There's no way at the basic operating system level for your application to interfere with some other application on the phone unless that application allows it or that user allows it. All applications are a sandbox. They're in their own little playground where they can't hurt anyone. That's the default behavior, and you have to specifically grant an application permissions. Permissions are the way that you tell the user that you need to access something that's outside of your sandbox with your application. It's a declarative model. You have to specify ahead of time in your Android application in the Android manifest file, which we'll get into more later, what permissions that your application is going to use. When the user installs your application, they're going to get prompted to whether or not they're going to allow your application to use those permissions. If they say no, they won't be able to install your application. So you really have to keep in mind here what permissions that your application is going to need. A good example would be if your application needs to go out to the internet. You don't know if that user has cellular data charges for using their data minutes. So Android is not just going to let you use their data plan. So you're going to have to tell your application that it requires a permission to access the internet. And when the user installs your application, they're going to choose to allow you to do that or not. Applications are signed locally, so the security mechanism for validating that you as a developer, who you are, is using a private key, public key pair that you create. I'll show you how to create a key store in a later module that you can use to sign your application, your APK file, and distribute that. And then that will give it a unique signature that will tell Android that the application is what you say it is and who it's supposed to be from.